Do you ever wonder where we go after this? Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous?
Midweek check-in. Welcome to Modern Investing Techniques, episode 107. It's July 15th, 2026, and I'm Patrick in Vancouver. Midweek, let's reassess this week's positions and look for fresh setups. Quick reminder, everything we discuss here is for education and entertainment. The practice investment of the day uses simulated trades with no real money. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. Always do your own research before putting real money to work. A reported $53 billion joint bid for PayPal by Stripe and Advent could compress fintech valuations and create entry points for investors screening payments names on takeover premiums. U.S. futures rose on cooling CPI readings and bank earnings beats, while tech results loom as the next test for the rally. The Bank of Canada delivers its fifth rate decision of the year this morning, with markets focused on any shift in guidance. Geopolitical tensions in the Middle East remain a live risk after comments on potential strikes. No live index levels are available in the feed, so the macro frame rests on the policy calendar and earnings flow rather than point moves. Energy infrastructure stories, including Croatia's planned LNG terminal expansion, sit alongside domestic Canadian gas price pressure as cross-border supply themes. Valuation gaps can act as a buffer when momentum names rotate out of favor, but only when paired with confirming volume. Today's analyst notes on energy names such as Crescent Energy and SM Energy highlight depressed multiples relative to peers. Yet the same-day volume check is required before treating any rebound as confirmed. Investors can screen for this setup on platforms like TradingView or Wealthsimple by pulling the 20-day average volume alongside forward PE. The approach worked in prior rotation periods when sector leadership shifted away from high multiple growth stocks. Risk arises if volume stays light and the gap simply reflects structural headwinds rather than temporary mispricing. This is the exact scenario where our earlier rule about volume confirmation would have helped avoid premature entries. Imagine you added a broad S&P 500 ETF to your TFSA last month on the belief that market cap weighting automatically captures the strongest companies. Your order filled at the prevailing NAV, but the actual mechanism is that inflows mechanically increase demand for the largest constituents regardless of their current earnings trajectory. In practice, the bid-ask spread on that ETF can widen from 2 cents to 15 cents in the first 30 minutes of heavy retail flows. The underlying stocks themselves experience price pressure that is unrelated to fundamentals. Professionals always check the ETF's premium or discount to NAV and the concurrent options skew before adding size. The biggest mistake with passive flows is assuming price discovery remains unaffected at the margin. Instead, always layer a simple active screen such as free cash flow yield versus the index median on top of any core ETF allocation to avoid becoming the marginal buyer at peak multiples. This is a simulated trade for educational purposes only. No setup meets the 3-factor threshold required during the current cold streak. We are watching for volume above the 20-day average on any energy or financial name with a fresh analyst note. The current regime shows average matched window alpha of negative 0.89% over the last 10 trades. Skipping forces discipline when statistical confidence remains low and prevents allocation into sectors already showing negative alpha history. The explicit trigger remains a same-day volume spike plus closing price confirmation on a non-tech, non-other name. No newly closed trade since the last review. The most recent practice investment has already been reviewed. Current holdings remain open and pending their scheduled evaluation, so there is no new realized result to report today. Portfolio Visualizer's backtesting module lets investors upload custom factor screens and compare rolling Sharpe ratios across valuation deciles. The free tier already supports Canadian equity universes and lets users test whether low multiple energy baskets outperform the TSX in prior rate cut cycles. Intermediate users should run a 60-month window on the current expensive market backdrop before sizing any new position. Wealthsimple trade watchlist alerts can be set on the Bank of Canada decision outcome, plus any energy names that print above average volume the same day. The feature is available at no extra cost inside the app and surfaces both CAD and USD listings without currency conversion friction for RRSP accounts. If today's valuation plus volume strategy interests you, these tools are exactly how you would screen for setups like this. CREA lowered its 2026 home sales forecast again. June activity ticked higher, but the full-year outlook was cut for the second time, signaling slower transaction volumes ahead. The organization issued this revision after reviewing the latest monthly data. Market participants now anticipate fewer overall deals through the remainder of the year. This second downward adjustment follows an earlier reduction made in prior months. The revised numbers reflect softer demand trends across major Canadian regions. Investors monitoring housing-related assets should note the timing ahead of policy announcements. The action here is to avoid adding Canadian REIT exposure this week until the Bank of Canada decision clarifies mortgage rate direction. Waiting allows clearer signals on borrowing costs to emerge. REIT valuations often respond directly to shifts in rate expectations. Holding off prevents exposure during periods of elevated policy uncertainty. The CREA revision adds another layer of caution for sector timing. Cross-checking the decision outcome with volume trends can refine any later entry plan. This approach aligns with screening methods that prioritize confirmed catalysts over headline forecasts. Croatia plans a 30% LNG terminal expansion. The move could increase supply options for Ukraine and ease European energy tightness. Officials confirm the capacity increase targets both domestic needs and regional exports. The project builds on existing infrastructure to accommodate higher throughput volumes. Energy analysts view the expansion as a potential stabilizer for cross-border flows. Implementation timelines remain tied to regulatory approvals and construction milestones. Investors tracking global energy infrastructure can monitor related ETFs for subsequent volume confirmation. Add European energy infrastructure ETFs to the watch list for any follow-through volume above the 20-day average. This step ensures any price response receives technical validation before consideration. The 30% capacity boost introduces a measurable supply-side development. European markets may see indirect effects through improved access for Ukrainian routes. Tracking the volume threshold helps distinguish noise from sustained interest. The development sits alongside other cross-border gas themes mentioned earlier. No immediate position is warranted until the volume filter is met. Titan Mining validated its battery-grade graphite flow sheet. Full-chain test results confirm concentrate to spherical graphite conversion at the Kilbourne project. The validation covers the entire processing sequence from raw material through final purity stages. Battery-grade specifications were achieved consistently across the tested batches. The Kilbourne site represents a domestic Canadian asset in the critical minerals space. Results provide technical confirmation of the flow sheet's commercial viability. Market participants should await price confirmation above recent highs before interpreting the news as a rotation trigger. Hold CAD cash. No rotation signal yet until a closing price above the recent high is confirmed. The test outcomes remain a development milestone rather than an immediate trading catalyst. Volume and price action together form the required confirmation criteria. Graphite supply chains continue to draw attention amid broader battery material demand. The project adds to Canadian exposure in the sector without yet meeting entry thresholds. Cash preservation maintains flexibility for later setups that clear the volume filter. This stance mirrors the discipline applied in the current no-trade regime. Our recent alpha sits at negative 0.89% over the last 10 trades. We are in a learning phase where the AI analysis continues to adjust position sizing based on volume and sector patterns observed so far. No new trade today keeps the cumulative record clean while we wait for higher confidence setups. Open your brokerage screener, filter for financials or energy names with PE below the sector median and average daily volume above 500,000 shares. Then add the top 3 results to a dedicated watch list for the next Bank of Canada decision. Before we wrap, watch for any same-day volume spike on the energy names flagged in today's analyst notes ahead of tomorrow's rate decision. That's modern investing techniques for today. If you found this useful, share it with a fellow investor and subscribe wherever you listen. Check the resources page for tools and platforms we discussed. We're back tomorrow. Keep learning, keep investing, and if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at Nara Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the Nara Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets. Each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. Planetarian Daily. Daily breakthroughs in science, health, and longevity. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. Prefer reading? Today's full write-up, sources, and transcript are on the episode blog at naranetwork.com. Same briefing, readable format. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.
Do you ever wonder where we go after this? Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous? Do you ever stay awake, counting sheep like all the time? What's your life like? What's your purpose? When's your birthday? What's your sign? Are you down right now? Are you stuck up in the past? Are you still thinking about all the times that you didn't laugh?